Ric Flair teases the possibility of one more match. Former Ring of Honor talent are being considered for Bray Wyatt's new faction. And we've got the reason why Billy Gunn wasn't allowed to appear on WWE TV. Stay tuned to find out all the deets. So, this year saw the retirement of Ric Flair, but as wrestling goes, it doesn't exist. Retirement's not a word that's in the wrestling glossary. It's not there. And Ric Flair was recently speaking to TMZ Sports, where they asked him about his wrestling career and recent comments from Joe Rogan criticizing Flair's iconic figure four leg lock by calling it dumb. In the interview, Flair jokingly teased a match with Sasha Banks when asked if he would ever do a celebrity match. And he said, I'm thinking about wrestling Sasha Banks. Maybe we'll end up going against each other at WrestleMania. Flair then did reveal he wasn't serious about the match with Banks, but that he would never rule out having another match. He said, I don't know. I don't want to say. I've already promised it once, but right now, I'm not doing anything. But never say never, right?
Imagine Sasha Banks. Imagine, right, hypothetical, he's doing this whole, he's like, never say never, and then it's him and versus Sasha Banks with Snoop Dogg as the special guest referee, because they've both got history with Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg is Sasha Banks' cousin, and then he's also done, he's in the weed business.
This must be what it's like to be Tom on a podcast with me.
I think that Ric Flair facing Sasha Banks is what is best for business. Triple H, you've done a lot of things right. Bring this to the forefront. This needs to happen.
It would get a lot of clicks.
Absolutely.
It would get a lot of clicks. People would tune in to see it, but for all the wrong reasons. Ric Flair cannot have another match. I feel weird saying it because he's Ric Flair, but Ric Flair can't. Like,
do you know
it's
what's
like
really
Hogan,
funny?
right? You can't.
We said that 14 years ago in 2008.
I
Ric
know.
Flair can't have another match. He's old.
We said
he's
about
had his
everybody,
career done.
Foley, Funk. Like, it's
We also said that about Ric Flair in 2012, 10 years ago, and we said that about Ric Flair about a month and a half ago.
Yeah, after a really scary retirement match, billed as Ric Flair's last ever match.
But, where he passed out twice.
Yeah, and he was just like, about it in interviews.
I feel like he is going to have another match at some point. It's him going, never say never. In the video he did, though, be like, no, I'm retired. I'm retired. I'm not getting back in the ring. And then they were like, are you sure about that? And he just sort of laughed and did that Ric Flair smile.
Little do they know he sleeps in a ring. That's his bed at home.
He did like a weird sort of smile and then showed his guns. He was just sort of like, yeah.
I'd be all for, if WWE really want to do it, just a one-night Legends event. Let's see what Ric Flair's still got. Put him in there against Hogan.
Ric Flair Taker. Run that match back.
Get it in a nice big venue.
Yeah.
Get that audience nice and drunk. And get out all the legends for one more night.
You're onto something, Sam. I think we need to, as a company, present Cultaholic presents Ric Flair.
WWE Legends Live.
Hey, you said it.
Well, moving around the world, halfway around the world to be precise, over in New Japan Pro Wrestling, we've had a bit of a developing situation regarding Carl Anderson and a double booking. Now, it was revealed that the current never openweight champion Carl Anderson would not be able to defend the title at the upcoming New Japan event Battle Autumn on November 5th as a result of being double booked by WWE. Now, of course, that set the world mildly on fire, didn't it, when he turned up and it was like, what are you doing here? What are New Japan doing tweeting? What? What is this? Is this some sort of beginning of a relationship? Is it like, where is it? Where's it going? But apparently the news of Anderson's cancellation has not gone down very well with New Japan at all, and especially with the president of New Japan, Takami Obari, telling Tokyo Sports that he's angry with how things have panned out. And he then declined to comment when asked his thoughts on Anderson choosing WWE over New Japan Pro Wrestling. But just to play devil's advocate, I just want to see that crossover.
Oh yeah,
I want to see that crossover. I want to see which side does it better.
I
want to see which side does it better.
I feel honestly like WWE would. In terms of like, New Japan's great for long-term storytelling.
I can hear keys
I know.
furiously.
Come at me. No, but I feel like WWE would do it slightly better in terms of have a story going into it at the moment based on their storytelling. I feel like New Japan has dropped off a little bit. And for me, anyway, I've dropped off New Japan.
This was an interview with Tokyo Sports as well, who, major Japanese publication, but it could be very much a, hey, tell the public this thing. But at the same time, they could be working in New Japan without contracts, and it's just become this thing where they're kind of working both. And it could be the beginning, it could be the ground floor, it could be as far as it goes. But either way, Obari is bloody angry.
He's angry. Oh, God. Poor Obari. I understand it. You've got a champion that has been announced for a show that you're selling tickets for, and then he goes, actually, I'm going to be in Saudi Arabia wrestling with my good brother
getting
mates.
paid millions.
Oh my God, I want to wrestle in Saudi Arabia. I don't want to wrestle in Saudi Arabia.
Oh my God, I want to wrestle in Saudi Arabia.
I want money.
Now, keeping it in the wider world of wrestling, we've got a bit of an interesting one concerning Bray Wyatt and the bubbling faction idea that's sort of building momentum behind him.
People calling it the Wyatt Six, but then people going, why are you calling it the Wyatt Six?
I don't know.
There's going to be 6 of them, obviously.
Well, yeah, but we could just be setting ourselves up for absolute disappointment. It could be just all of a sudden Bray's back, but now he's Barney the dinosaur. And, that stuff can just happen. So
They need to get you on creative.
It's one of those things where, because he debuted obviously with all of those figures sort of stood ominously around the arena in various guises, there's a faction potentially tied into it. And apparently WWE are considering 2 former Ring of Honor names when it comes to manning this faction. Now, these names are Dutch and Vincent. And these are people who were part of the Righteous and Ring of Honor. They've appeared on the brand once since Tony Khan took over the reins, where they dropped the 6-man belts to Dalton Castle and the boys. Now, Vincent was a Ring of Honor regular from 2016 onwards when he joined the Kingdom as Vinny Marseglia before changing to the Vincent name. Vincent recently wrestled for Impact as part of the Honor No More stable, which has been doing great.
It's been doing great, but they've dropped. They're finished now because the Kingdom have reappeared in AEW. And Vincent's no longer with Impact, which sort of leads more speculation to this.
So it's all sort of leaning in that they're potentially, apparently the rumours backstage are circulating that they're potentially going to be linked to Wyatt and this situation. So they're very much 2 people that would... I don't want to kind of typecast, because especially Vincent is somebody who I've seen more than Dutch. Yeah. But Vincent's somebody who is his own completely creative. It's almost like, when you see people like Sin Bodhi, where it's just they're off doing their own wacky, crazy things.
Mr. Zarni.
And just sort of running with their own universe type stuff. And Vincent's somebody who he's just a compelling character to watch. But again, not to typecast them, they do sort of fit the traditional Wyatt mold.
Fit Wyatt well.
Red beard, just sort of rugged looking blokes. So
I think they'd fit quite well. They were actually backstage at WWE recently, at a recent Raw event, which I think we reported on recently. So that adds to the speculation. Why were they backstage? Could it be to join up with Wyatt? Are they in the funhouse?
It's an exciting time, and it's a very exciting
fun to be watching wrestling again.
Yeah, but we're going to finish things off with a bit of not fun.
Not exciting.
Nobody was allowed to have fun in this situation. Oh my God. We've got the real reason Billy Gunn was absent from the DX reunion. Now, is it me, or every time you do a DX reunion, does it feel sort of
sad?
Less important?
Oh, yeah, less important. Not
sad. Because it's sort of, they'd come back and it's and then it's sort of, wow, God, we've got a big thing we need to do. Just bring DX out,
I mean, it is what it is, isn't it? It's just they're like, let's wheel them out. And I'm glad they're more self-aware now in the fact that they're old men.
Well, coming from The Observer, it was apparently a long and involved story that didn't involve any money exchanging hands, as WWE apparently never offered money and Khan never asked. And it basically came down to this. Khan agreed to let him do the show, but on the air they would have to mention he's from AEW, or that AEW allowed him to appear, or some similar wording. But there had to be one mention that in some form he works for AEW, just as WWE already did when they got Mickie James for the Royal Rumble this past year, mentioning that she was the Impact Knockout Champion. Yeah. She came out with the belt and everything. WWE stalled on the yes or no, of course. And then at the last minute, they decided they wouldn't agree to it. Now, obviously, obviously Levesque, if he wanted to not have been able to make it happen, obviously Levesque, if he wanted to, would have been able to make it happen.
Yeah.
I'm still surprised it ever got to the point of it being a possibility. It could also have been WWE not wanting to risk a loud daddy ass chant on their show in Brooklyn, and that's why it came down to the very end with WWE agreeing to it while they were still talking.
Yeah, so that's
without WWE.
Without WWE, yeah. It's not surprised that WWE kind of would go, oh, I don't really want to say your company's name.
See, Impact was a weird one because Impact first started getting mentioned on the network, like the documentaries, and you'd hear people talking fondly about it. But Impact was very much in WWE's rearview mirror. They'd fended off Impact for as long as they possibly could through all of the chances Impact had way back when to get to that level, and all of the big TV deals they had. I think the second that they realized Impact were no longer really a threat to them in terms of active same tier competition, they didn't mind mentioning them.
But
totally. I think when it's different when you've got an active competitor company with a major TV deal. I can understand why they don't want to do it, but at the same time, by not doing it, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because now they look a bit petty.
They look a bit petty, and Billy Gunn is the only member of DX that is like active right now.
Yeah, and he's over.
He's over. He's the most over member of DX. I would argue now. Obviously, I wasn't around watching in the Attitude Era.
Yeah,
I would say Billy Gunn is as over now as he was then.
Yeah,
because Billy Gunn on his own individually, I don't think was as over as he is.
You got to be careful there because the one Billy Gunn is all-time GOAT.
Oh my God,
like there's nobody that comes close. San Martino, Thez.
Billy Gunn.
The one Billy Gunn. But anyway, that's it for our second news video. We may be back in a little bit with some additional news if and when anything breaks.
Yeah.
So, have a nice weekend. Stay safe. I hope the weather's nice. And you're doing great today. You look fantastic.
So positive.
Yeah, positivity.
You look handsome.
Time to edit.